Good evening, everyone. This is a regularly scheduled meeting for the Urbana Community Development Commission, and I now declare the meeting in session. Next, we have an agenda for the meeting, and next on our agenda is roll call.
Commissioner Cobb,
Here.
Commissioner Bankston,
Here.
Commissioner Cunningham, Commissioner Diana,
Here.
Commissioner Hines Silvas,
Here.
Commissioner Karplus,
Here.
and Commissioner Moreland.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, next we have approval of the minutes of our previous meeting, which is August 23rd. So we'll take a moment just to review those minutes, after which I'll entertain a motion for approval or corrections. Anyone need more time? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as written. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Minutes are approved as written. Okay, next we have petitions and communications. Do we have any written communication? Okay, next audience participation. Well, we have no audience. After that comes staff report.
So this has been a busy time for us. Just looking at the staff report, one of the first things that Kelly has on there is that she was on the planning committee for the 2016 Regional Neighborhood Network Conference, and I really wanted to congratulate her and everybody on that for a really well done conference. I was able to attend, and it was very eye-opening to see how people around the Midwest and other areas in communities a lot like ours are able to really build a lot of cohesiveness between their neighborhoods and accomplish a lot of the goals that they set out for themselves. So that was really inspiring, and I think it was a great privilege that Urbana and Champaign were able to host that. Also, some of the staff report items, we're continuing to monitor a lot of our subrecipient agencies. I think we're still working on a few of them. We're wrapping them up. But we'll go on site at a lot of these agencies like Habitat for Humanity, City of Champaign, and other ones, and we'll look through some of their files and make sure that all of the federal regulations are being followed. And I think it's really been a learning experience for both us and the subrecipients when we go and do that. We like to think of it as a very positive experience. Also on there for Kelly's section, she's working with Courage Connection to shift responsibility and administration of the supportive housing program to Courage Connection. A long time ago, when we initially applied for that grant, Urbana was selected as the administrator and Courage Connection as the subrecipient, but we've determined that that arrangement is no longer necessary. So rather than acting as sort of a middleman, we're trying to work with HUD to make sure that Courage Connection can manage that grant on their own, and that helps to support their shelter activities, their transitional housing, So it's very important. Just looking at my section for the staff report, now that Highland Green has closed and construction has begun, we're going to start working on doing labor interviews and making sure that the workers who are out there are getting paid the federally mandated Davis-Bacon wages that have been determined for their skill set. So I'm actually going to go out there pretty soon, go out there for the first time and try to do some of the labor interviews, talk with some of the contractors, and just kind of let them know, what we're doing and the reasons that we're interviewing people, and making sure that all the federal regulations are in place. Doing that for home as well. The Consolidated Social Service Fund for fiscal year 16-17 is underway, and the allocation was decided by council, and we're working with agencies to pay out grant installments to them. With Randy's things, he's working on emergency grant, access grant. He has 3 applications approved and 1 in progress. And that program, just to refresh your memory, emergency grant is for seniors or people with disabilities who have an emergency system in their house that's failed and needs to get repaired. And the access grant is for seniors or people with disabilities who need accessibility improvements on their house, in their bathroom, a ramp installed, something of that nature. And he also has 5 applications approved and in progress for the senior repair service, which is $1,000 for senior citizens to just do small improvements to their house that they find necessary from time to time. And then with Don's activities, he's working with a lot of the system that we use to draw down funds from the federal government. I work with him pretty closely, and we try to make sure that everything that we're reporting is as accurate as possible. We dedicate a lot of time to that and making sure that that's done. And then making sure their subrecipients have the money that they need. We work to draw that down from the federal government as much as possible, or as quickly as possible. Does anyone have any questions?
This is more of a general question about the blight reduction program.
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you guys keep a comprehensive list of blighted properties, an up-to-date list of blighted properties in Urbana?
The Building Safety Division in the Community Development Department, they keep I think it's a registered vacant properties list. So our housing inspector and building inspector, they would be the ones to ask about that, and they keep that up in real time. I mean, that's constantly being updated. So that if you would like to know more about that, they would be the people to talk to.
Just thinking about it too, I mean, just kind of generally, it just seems like, I see houses that have the sticker that says no one can live here, it's condemned and all, but we're just barely skimming the surface of properties that are uninhabitable or virtually uninhabitable with the blight reduction program. You're just getting a tiny percentage, I'm sure, of the whole.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm just wondering, is it a city priority? Is this something the commission should look at? Just throwing that out there in general.
Yeah, there is definitely work to be done in that regard, and that the blight reduction program in itself has already made a significant improvement on a lot of the neighborhoods in the city. The area in Eads Street, kind of close to Wright Street over there, that area in particular has really been transformed. We've taken down 4 blighted vacant structures just in like a 1-block area, and it really makes a difference. But yeah, I think there's definitely room for growth there.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much. Oh, go ahead.
I have trouble with your just use of initials, because I don't remember what they stand for. And so, for example, sometimes you do it, but other times I don't know what it is. They're just isolated capitals.
Okay,
Like RNNC, NOFA. I've forgotten what those are. IDIS, I have no idea.
yeah, we'll be sure to, going forward, we'll make sure that every acronym has an explanation for what that is. The RNNC was the conference that I mentioned at first. That was the Community Development Conference. The NOFA, we call it the NOFA. It's an application for funds from HUD. And were there any others that you wanted clarity on right now?
One other thing, under other,
Mm-hmm.
you have continued working on blah, 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 with planning committee and attended what?
I think the intent there is that we attended the conference, but yeah, I agree that we can improve the clarity on that.
Okay. Anyone else? If not, thank you very much.
One more.
Okay.
When you say staff, how many people does that include? Is it one staff member that attends, or 2 or 3, or what?
It's I'll admit it's used pretty vaguely. It could refer to one or a number of people, but we can be sure to specify more often,
Thank you.
you know, who and how many people go. Thank you.
Financially, I'm sure it makes it up.
It does, yeah.
Okay. That was our staff report, and next on our agenda is old business. We have nothing listed under there unless someone would like to bring up some old business. So now we have new business, and under new business we have an item called a resolution assigning an Urbana Home Consortium tenant-based rental assistance program agreement. In parentheses, Community Elements, TBRA, FY, fiscal year 2013-14. Okay.
So- Yeah, so this agreement was signed in 2014, and it dedicates $32,000 to what was then Community Elements for tenant-based rental assistance to fund their program. As you know, recently Community Elements went through some ownership changes, and it's now Rosecrans Incorporated, and the segment of Rosecrans that operates this TBRA, tenant-based rental assistance, is Rosecrans Champaign-Urbana. And because the agreement is currently made with Community Elements, we need to formally amend, or as it would be, assign the agreement to Rosecrans, which requires the agreement to be formally changed. So that's why it's coming before you tonight. Nothing changes about the amount or any of the programming, only that we're formally allowing Rosecrans access to those funds that were originally laid out only for Community Elements. So the options before the commission, the CDC can forward the resolution assigning an Urbana Home Consortium tenant-based rental assistance program agreement to the City Council with recommendation for approval. The CDC can forward the resolution to the Urbana City Council with recommendation for approval with suggested changes. Or the CDC can forward the resolution to the Urbana City Council with a recommendation for disapproval. Really, this agreement has no... The agreement carries originally $32,000, but one draw was taken off of it, so there's $27,713 remaining on that contract, and that's the amount that Rosecrans will have access to following the assignment. But because this agreement's already been signed in 2014, it will not have any bearing on our commitment deadline. Really, financially, nothing changes between where it was in 2014 and where it is now. And programmatically, tenant-based rental assistance has been identified as a very key need in the community, and it's something that this funding will be put to great use for. So I think it's identified in the consolidated plan, but I would like to echo also that is, this is a very important need in the community that this agreement is helping to fund. So staff recommends that the Community Development Commission forward the resolution to the Urbana City Council with a recommendation for approval. And are there any questions?
I'm just wondering, if you didn't do this, what would happen?
We just wouldn't be able to pay Rosecrans.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the money would just sit there.
I see. Okay. All right.
What differences, if any, are there in Rosecrans and their operation or staffing or goals between that and Community Elements?
In terms of this program, they're virtually identical. But Rosecrans itself is based out of Rockford. It's not. Community Elements was based in Champaign-Urbana. It was local, and their segment of the operations is still going to be essentially run locally. But Rosecrans is a much larger organization, and I also know that one of the reasons for the merger was because Rosecrans specializes in substance abuse. And Community Elements thought that was a very important need in the community, and the hope is that by merging with Rosecrans, that a substance abuse treatment center of some kind can be brought to Champaign-Urbana. So that's
Okay.
their focus is a little bit different, but in terms of the tenant-based rental assistance program, it's essentially the same.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion concerning this change, this resolution. Someone like to make the motion?
Sure. I move to approve the resolution as it currently is written, assigning an Urbana Home Consortium tenant-based rental assistance program agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve this resolution and involve Rosecrans as a substitute for Community Elements. Any further questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. Ayes have it, and the motion carries. Okay. Next, if we had any special issues, we would have a study session, but no. Go ahead.
Well, I just wonder, since we're all in a forum together, like, does anyone else over the years have had thought about the blight, the houses that are dilapidated in Urbana? I know the blight reduction program is doing work, but it's just pieces and pieces of a much, it's just a tiny percentage, I'm sure, if we look at all of the houses that are affected. Is this something that's come before the commission before as an issue for consideration, or what are your thoughts?
I think we've addressed blight through a variety of programs with, support for seniors so they can stay in their homes and keep up the condition of their homes. We partner with Habitat.
Right, I know about the existing programs. I'm trying to
what are you
think,
thinking?
Why is it
it happening?
That there are any changes in so many of these houses?
Oh.
I'm just thinking of if you go just directly east of here, walking around,
Mhm.
further up north by Broadway and Kerr, that neighborhood, right next to the beautiful new Highlands Greens, you have a house that's completely so dilapidated that every single window is open on it and animals can run around inside, So, condemned houses that have the sticker on them saying don't move, don't go in here, what's happening to them after they have that sticker put on them? I don't know. I'm just curious if anyone else on the commission has been thinking about it lately.
We haven't followed that very strongly.
Yeah. Or is
It has
a
come up
large
from,
initiative?
it's come up from time to time, and certain properties, were discussed, and they were torn down, but it has not been a main focus of the commission.
Is there a particular process for those blighted or those abandoned houses, I guess?
In general, we have an activity that's funded through the Community Development Block Grant called Acquisition Demolition. And usually, Fred, you were talking about individual properties. We would find out what those properties are, identify them, run a title search, try to see who the owner is, contact them, and use the CDBG money to purchase the property, and then use that same funding source to demolish the property. But the blight reduction program enabled us to expand that type of activity a lot further. But without it, and we're nearing the end of identifying properties for that program, it really, using just our CDBG alone kind of limits us in how many properties we can identify and acquire and demolish. So, yeah, I think there's certainly a need for funding sources kind of like the blight reduction program, that we have a lot of these properties identified, but we just need funding to acquire them and demolish them.
What are the limits for HUD money? I don't remember if it's gotten larger or it still is a very small part of town.
Are you talking about the neighborhood target area? Yeah, that area, we're essentially still using the same map that we have. I'm not exactly sure how old it is. I want to say it uses census data. I just don't know when it's from.
What is north limit and south?
The north limit, I think, is. I think it does go to the highway.
Where?
The highway. I think it goes from University Avenue North to the highway, to 74. East, I think it goes really kind of from the city building east to the county, where the city limits are.
Where?
The city limits and the county property, just outside the city, sort of by where the University Avenue spur is. And then
On Windsor Road?
to the south, I don't think it extends that far. If you're curious, we could send you the target area map. We could send it out to the whole commission.
I think on the website.
I think it might be, yeah.
I was
Census
wondering if, well,
tracts.
the problem was with
Yeah,
water.
that's our census tract.
Yeah.
I wondered if
53,
that
52.
street is included in
Yes.
HUD projects.
In
I know it wasn't.
Yeah, and that's and I think with the latest census data, it has fallen out of the target area. It's the target area is drawn based on median income of the census tract, and I believe in that area it has fallen out. So we're working to HUD allows us to do an income survey to try to get it back in, and we're working to try to do that right now because that's. That is definitely a priority area that we want to make sure that, if funding is needed, that it's able to get there.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we've exhausted our agenda for this evening. Would any commissioner like to bring up any other item not included here in our agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Okay.